Hello, I'm Karen, and in this video we're going to be doing round 4. Now, before we actually begin this round, I need to explain that while I was actually trying to translate the pattern and work it all out, round 4 was the one that completely and utterly baffled me. Okay, so the reason why is because of the image, not because of the written work, because when I looked at the written work, I started to do it and I was following it along, and it was turning out fantastic, don't get me wrong, and you get a beautiful frilly edge. But when I looked at the picture in the book, and I shall show you, I was like, oh, when you actually look at the picture, it's not as frilly as what I was making. And also, if you can see here, we've got to be able to have our work to be able to show you the comparison. This stitch here is this white stitch here that you've done, okay? And then what you're doing is with this, all this darker area here is our pink bits, and we're going to make this white line that comes up here. Now when I look at that line of that stitch there finishes at the same height as our little bobbly bits on the end of where we did our picket stitch. Oops, you can't, just there, it finishes at the same height as this stitch here. Okay, so I was like, oh, mine isn't matching that, so I did it, and it actually, as far as I'm aware, it should actually be, because it actually does tell you to do a treble stitch there. And as far as I'm aware, that because when I tried to do it, a treble stitch in English is actually a double stitch in American. So the double stitch is going to finish at the same height, more or less, as this curved area, because that's where we was doing our stitches before. Does this make sense? So this stitch here needed to finish at the same height. So to me, it should have said a double treble if it was in English. But I also had another issue, because if you look at the picture here, this stitch looks like it goes all the way from the actual black of the work there. It looks like it's going all the way through to the edge of the border. And when I made mine, we can see it doesn't. So I was like, well, why isn't it? What's going wrong? Well, it wasn't until I did a different colour, which is why I've been showing you with the blue and white version, because on the blue and white version I used it to show you how to sew up. But I've used a darker blue on this particular one so that I can show you what happens. Okay, so I've started to do this border. Oops, I've got myself all tangled up there. So I've started to do my border. Let's undo this bit here. And I've actually used an American treble or an English double treble so that my stitches sit at the same height as my picket stitch, which is what we're showing you in the book. And as you can see in this one, these stitches do look like they go all the way through. Now the reason why that happens is because I'm just going to show you with this one before we begin on our work, because you can't see it on the pink. It's say it's not until I was doing it in darker colours and experimenting that I realised. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing an English double treble or an American treble, and it says to work in between the two stitches here. So that's a single crochet in American terms, or the double crochet there. So you work in between it, and you just naturally go in between and you do your stitch. Okay, I'm just going to do my other two just to tuck it over to the top so that you can see what happens. And then we're just working into there. And then you can see, I'll just pull that up there. You can see that when I did that, it did what happened in my original version. You can see what I've done there. So why does that happen? Well, the reason why it happens is in the back of the work. Because if you look at the back of your work, you still want to have these lines here, because the whole point of this pattern was to create an illusion that these coloured areas was suspended inside a framework of the white, well, I know that's all right there, but that's how it was, that's how I take it. And then if you look at this stitch here, this stitch doesn't do the same. And the reason why is because when you're going through the front here, if I just put my hook through there and show you, if you just put your hook straight through, you end up with this line there. Can you see that line across your work? And you need to be able to come underneath that stitch there, and that's the back part of the last stitch that you did. You need to come through that particular bit there to be able to get this finish, because if you don't, that's what your work will look like, and you won't get that illusion of this white line going all the way through. And obviously with the black and the white, to go back to my original one, and the pink, I lost that effect with that there. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you, because and I do understand trying to do a treble crochet is a hard stitch. It is a hard stitch. I'm not saying that this is easy. I'm not at all. Okay, so if you want to take the easier option and you would like to do a double crochet, or let's say it's a double in America, so it's a treble in the UK, you can still do that. And all you've got to do is just wrap, like we did before, you're casting on. You've got to make sure that when you go through that pink piece there, that you're actually coming through underneath. You make sure that that pink stitch is in the right place, and then you can just, whoops, I can't even crochet today, and then you just do your stitch. Now that wasn't a particularly well drawn up one at all, because I've ended up with a loop at the side, and maybe that's what it was on about, to do that. But remember, that height of that stitch, as we can see, is finishing there, and on the pattern it clearly shows you it finishes above there. So this is where I had to keep on practicing, and I'm still not very good. I really am being honest. I'm not very good at doing the cast on treble stitch, because for it to say as well, to do a well drawn up stitch made me think, hang on a minute, why does it need to be so well drawn up when these ones, it never said anything before, and we've been doing this casting on with a double or a treble in all of this work here. So I'm going to go into my work and in between and make sure I've got that bit of that pink loop on the correct side. Okay, and then I'm going to do my treble crochet. And this is what I said, is you have to be ever so careful when you do this, that you don't end up with, see, look, I've got a baggy loop there, and even if I pull this tight, that's not going to change that. That's really not going to change that. So that's something that I've practiced and practiced and practiced, and it is really, I personally have found it really hard, and I don't know how you're all going to cope with this one. So you might end up doing the double, or you might just say, do you know what, I'm just going to have to leave that little bit of a baggy stitch and just accept that that's it, because we are going to slip stitch to join underneath there, so we can actually tidy that bit up. So I wouldn't get too stressed about it. And like I said, if you want to do the shorter stitch, what it's going to do is it's just going to pull this stitch down a bit, and it's going to just make it go more ruffled. Okay, so I'm being honest, the choice is yours, but I still perceive the pattern to, it should have said a double treble. Okay, and then we're going to do a chain of 2, and then we do an American single crochet or an English double crochet into the top of the picket stitches. Okay, so we do another, so we do 2, because once you get going, the treble stitch is a lot easier to do. It's just that initial one, and you see all the time you've got to be double checking, make sure that you haven't caught hold of that, otherwise you're not going to get that illusion that you want, that this is suspended in the air. And like I said, it's, to me, this pattern, the way it was designed was, it's all it is like a magic trick. It's an illusion. It was a way of making work in the Victorian days that people found difficult to try and copy, and so they wouldn't have necessarily realised. I'm doing it again. Look, I've got to be really careful. So this round does take a long time to do, in the sense of trying to make sure your stitches are all sitting in the right places. And I have tried it as well. I'm just single crocheting into there. I have tried it as well, where you you do your stitch and you actually go into that stitch there, but that just spoiled it as well. It didn't look right. So and that's all you got to do on this round. So it's your choice at the end of the day for this particular round, whether you want your work to sit like what I believe it's supposed to do, like with little castle walls around your church, or whether you want your work to come more scrunched down like this. It's your choice. I'm not you know, I'm just trying to tell you what I perceive of the pattern. I because obviously there's nobody there to say what did you actually do there, what are you trying to achieve. But I thought about it and I thought, well, why would you go to all this effort to make these beautiful little things sticking out to then scrunch them back up again? It didn't make any sense to me. So I'm saying, because the picture's there and I could see this line going up, and I could see that this fitted at the same sort of height as these at the top of the picket stitches, that's why I've chosen to do what in English is a double treble and in America is a treble. So I'm just working my way up to the corner because I just want to share with you how to do the corners. And all you're doing all the time is just a chain of 2 in between a single crochet or a double crochet into the tops of the picket stitch, a chain of 2, and say it's your choice whether you're going to do the double treble or whether you're going to actually just do a treble in English or a treble in America. The choice is yours. Right, so now when we get to the corner, it says that we need to do it says two chain and 2 chain, 1 double crochet in the round picket. So the next bit, 2 chain and repeat, and make 2 loops of 2 chain and 1 double in the corners. So to make 2 loops of 2 chain, so that's 1 2 and then into there, and we've got to do that twice. So we're going to do a chain of 2 again and sit and back into that same place there. Okay, and then we do our chain of 2, do our stitch here, whichever stitch you're going to do, making sure I've caught the right side of that. Sorry, my yarn's got stuck. And by doing that particular stitch, this makes it neatly go around the corner. Mine's actually not sitting perfectly right, but there, it makes you go neatly around the corner so that it's still giving you that square. Whereas if you're doing it with this, with the stitches down, it's bringing everything more scrunched in. So let me know how you get on. I'm really, like I said, I'm trying to share with you a Victorian pattern, and then came across a problem that was like, ooh. And I know that it happens. I know that when people try and edit your work, if they're not a crocheter, the English version, by saying a double treble, is a very confusing sentence. So they might have thought, oh, that's wrong there. It shouldn't be a double treble, it should just be a treble, and not realise that actually a double treble is actually a stitch. Or it could have just been like I do, you scribbling your notes down, and when you type them up, you accidentally make a mistake. And these things happen. I mean, we know that. We all know that, whether it's to be of this day and age, or whether it was Victorian days or whatever. So when you're doing into your little circles here, do make sure that you've actually gone right into the centre of your picket stitch. Don't accidentally go into that bit there, and don't accidentally slip through like the chain part of it. Make sure you're going right through the actual stitch there. And so you can see, look, you can see how nicely that it's sitting. It's still, I don't know, it's still, to me, I was like, I've done all this pretty work, and then this border didn't seem to do it justice. And that's where, and I was thinking, you know, what are they trying to achieve? What are they, you know, what's going off there? And I said before, I saw the religious side of it, of this being representing of the church, and then these being the castle walls around the actual church. So I'm sorry guys, another time consuming round. It's not a quick and easy thing, and thinking about it, it does make you realise how much of an effort and how much hard work really went into producing this pattern, because whoever began to add this particular round must have realised what happened if you didn't go through the stitches properly, and wanted to achieve that effect for that image to have been made. And I say, without the image, I would have never have known. I would have just carried on, made it the way that I've obviously made it in my other one, and I've never have known. But because the image was there, the curiosity got the better of me, and I just wanted to be able to achieve that illusion. I liked that. I thought it was quite magical the way that, because I was like, how have they done that? How did they make that look like that? And saying it, well, I don't know, somebody else might have clicked on a lot quicker than me, but obviously I'd crocheted my whole blanket before. Well, it's not a blanket, but my sampler blanket, before I actually thought, you know, kept thinking, is that, how do they do that? And I say, when I did it with the darker colours, it was just looking at the back of the work, because if at the back of the pink, look at my other one, it's not really even noticeable that what's going off. When you're pulling at it, you can see that one strand there, and it makes such a difference of the way that your work looks, because this one, look, on the back of it, where we've already been, we've still got that effect going off by working into the correct place. Okay, so another video that's nearly 20 minutes long. Not quite sure what you're all going to make of this particular round, so I want you make up your mind. You make up your own mind. You can have a go at just doing, like I say, just a normal double crochet and making it so that it comes down, because all that will happen is it brings it down so that it's actually, thinking about it being on a bed, it would make a nice curve around a bed, but would you actually have that frill right at the top? Would you have this at the very edge of your bed and then have this, just this little tiny bit dangling down? And I thought not. I thought that you'd have, the blanket would cover more and this would just be a lower down edge, but I don't know. That's something that I don't know the answer to that one. So I'm going to love you and leave you. I hope that I hope that you're enjoying what you're doing, and this particular round, choice is yours. Okay, so thank you for watching, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, thank you for your thumbs up, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.